Welcome to Caribbean Tea. From St. Vincent, Kendall Morgan, in Georgetown, Guyana, Dennis Chabral, and I am Vivian Williams in New York. It started out as a force to be reckoned with. Through extraordinary collective action, the people of Haiti defeated their oppressors to become the first free black republic. But ever since, Haiti has found itself in the vortex of extreme struggle and trauma.
In Haiti, they have become so accustomed to crisis that it's almost as if they are becoming new.
Haiti has been resilient to oppression from outside its shores, but it has been perpetually plagued by internal turmoil. The country has a history of overcoming tough times, but this time, the firm grip of gangs and the collapse of government and institutions put Haiti on the verge of becoming a failed state. It is facing violence, political instability, and a humanitarian crisis that has created untold suffering for the people. Our guest this week is Bruce Golding, a towering political figure in the Caribbean. He is a former Prime Minister of Jamaica and a member of the CARICOM Eminent Persons Group, leading the efforts in the region to end the crisis in Haiti.
Well, let us bear in mind that President Moïse's tenure was not without problems. There were dysfunctionalities. There were political difficulties. But following his assassination in 2021, the criminal gangs that had existed before, and I must tell you, had tentacles in various sections of the Haitian society, including politicians, including the business community. They expanded their reach, they expanded their control, they took control of several sections of Port-au-Prince, and that continued following his assassination. Now, the interim administration, which was led by Dr. Ariel Henry, was required by the Constitution to hold elections to fill the vacancy following President Moïse's assassination. The Constitution required that elections be held within 120 days. That did not take place, perhaps could not have taken place because the situation in Haiti deteriorated so rapidly that free and fair elections could hardly have been held. The situation continued to deteriorate to the point where Prime Minister Henry was unable to maintain his administration. And it was at that point that, with the assistance of CARICOM, a new interim administration was agreed upon. It involved a 9-member council, Transitional Presidential Council, comprised of representatives of 7 of the larger political organizations, plus 2 representatives of civil society. Now, I must point out that one of the things that has plagued Haiti over the years and now is the fact that political dissonance is extreme. Yeah. Haiti has more than 200 political parties, perhaps more than any other country in the world. And they have had tremendous difficulty in finding common cause. One would have thought that over time, there would have been some amalgamation and some mergers so that we could get to what we understand in the rest of the Caribbean. You know, we have 2, 3, 4 parties, so that the choices that are put to the people are pretty straightforward. So that has been a major problem, and that has affected the functioning of the Transitional Presidential Council. We had hoped, and when I say we, I'm referring to the eminent persons group, we thought that the best approach was to try to make the interim government as inclusive as possible.
How did you try to do that, Dr. Golding?
Well, what we sought to do was to identify the influential political organizations and to bring each of them into the council. And
But some of them are very small.
Some of them are very small, but some of them are not so small. So we focused on what one would call the major influencers, no? And we ended up with 7 representatives, with the hope that the crisis that exists in Haiti would induce them to set aside their own partisan differences, their own ideological differences, to try to get Haiti out of this crisis. That has not worked as we had hoped. I still believe it is the best arrangement that could have been put in place, because the alternative to that would have been an exclusive approach, where you decide, well, this party or these 2 parties will govern the country in the interim. And that, to my way of thinking, would have led to greater disunity and would have led to greater dysfunctionality.
Do you think, Mr. Golding, that the differences, the issues are among those that you selected, that 7 or 8 political influencers, or those who didn't get in and want to ensure that the interim administration doesn't work?
It's a mix of both, because there were some organizations that were included that were disappointed, felt offended.
Okay.
But let me say this, and I say this guardedly. Haiti, over decades, perhaps centuries, has become so accustomed to crisis that their reflex action is not what you would find in other democratic Caribbean countries. You know, I've seen situations in Jamaica where we have faced crises, and the political parties put aside their political differences and they come together. Once they've gotten over the crisis, they go back to their adversarial policies. And I've seen the same thing happen in other Caribbean countries. In Haiti, they have become so accustomed to crisis that it's almost as if they have become immune. I'm going to put it even stronger than that. Haiti has become so accustomed to failure that when faced with a crisis, the political actors embrace the crisis primarily for the purpose of extracting whatever advantage they can get out of the crisis. And this is it's a sad commentary to me, but that is my observation, having worked with them over more than 18.
I want to go back to CARICOM almost a year ago when the heads of state met with U.S. Secretary of State at the time, Antony Blinken, and other heads of state across the world. I am going to try to play a video. I hope you may listen to it, and then get your response to what has happened since.
The difficult decisions we make here today will have to be in the interest of the Haitian people. And we must be clear-sighted, strategic, and laser-focused on acting in their interest. We must focus not just on the immediate solution, but on the need for putting in place building blocks for political stability and the long-term recovery and development of Haiti. Indeed, the humanitarian crisis is also one of importance and priority for us in this meeting. I also thank the representatives of the CARICOM Eminent Persons Group, represented by Dr. Kenny Anthony, former Prime Minister of St. Lucia, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, former Prime Minister of the Bahamas, and Mr. Bruce Golden, former Prime Minister of Jamaica, for accepting the charge from CARICOM to undertake good offices facilitation in Haiti. Their insights and advice in support of Haiti and the Haitian people have been critical to ensuring that CARICOM discusses and finds action-oriented solution to the profound humanitarian crisis.
Despite sustained efforts and attempts made over time by Haitians, by members of CARICOM, and by the international community to find a solution to the political, security, and humanitarian crisis, the situation in Haiti continues to worsen on the ground, especially over the last few weeks. Without recounting the disruptions and violence being experienced by ordinary Haitians through attacks on institutions and infrastructure, it is clear that Haiti is now at a tipping point. CARICOM and our regional partners are deeply concerned, as are our international partners here present and beyond. CARICOM heads have been intensively engaged in discussion and outreach, which deepened over the past week and indeed today. Strong and decisive action owned by the people of Haiti must be taken to stem the sea of lawlessness and hopelessness before it is too late.
What has happened since? Why have there not been the kind of outcome hoped for when the heads met then, when it seemed that international support was also with CARICOM to get this resolved?
And a very appropriate question. At the meeting in Jamaica, in Kingston, Jamaica, in March of last year, we hammered out a program that involved stabilizing the security situation. It involved establishing a council, a commission to review the Constitution. It involved establishing a provisional electoral council to make preparations for the election to be held and for a referendum to be held on the proposed constitutional changes, the appointment of a national security council, and a number of other things. Those have not proceeded as we had hoped. Perhaps the most successful of them has been the Constitutional Reform Commission, which did its work and submitted its report some months ago. It took much too long for the establishment of the Provisional Electoral Council. And would you believe it? Part of the reason for the delay was that some of the entities that are constitutionally mandated to name members to the Provisional Electoral Council could not agree among themselves as to who their nominees should be, which is another reflection of the kind of lack of common purpose that exists not just within Haiti generally, but even within organizations in Haiti. So all of those things took a long time. And in the meanwhile, the security situation deteriorated.
The Haitian National Police are currently under-resourced and outmanned. The UN Security Council approved multinational security support mission to Haiti, therefore, is a critical and a necessary first step to restore basic law and order and provide an environment of stability to allow the distribution of assistance and the crafting of medium and long-term solutions.
The international community has let down Haiti, as it has done so many times before. The security situation requires a strategic approach. Look at some numbers. The Haitian police force, which at its peak numbered 14,000, had been reduced by attrition to 9,500. President Joe Biden, well-intentioned though it was, initiated an arrangement where Haitians could get provisional stay in America, intended to help out the Haitians because of what they were going through. But many policemen took advantage of that, so that the Haitian National Police declined to 9,500. It is estimated that gang membership in Haiti is over 10,000. Now you're faced with a situation where the number of gang members outnumber your policemen. And bear in mind, your policemen can't just fight gangs alone. They have to maintain law and order, and they have to do all the other things that policemen are supposed to do. Now, secondly, Haiti does not have the resources to mount the kind of offensive against the gang that is required. They don't have the equipment. They don't have the money. The international community was prevailed upon to come to their assistance. The United Nations set up a trust fund. Last time I checked, that trust fund was meager. The United States...
Dollars you could put to that?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any dollars you can put to the meager description?
Something like 20-odd million sticks in my mind. Right? The United States opted to provide direct assistance to Haiti in two forms. One, in terms of equipment, and two, after the Kenyans so gracious offered to provide boots on the ground, offered to meet the cost of those boots, the salaries and so on. But hear this. The funding was slow in coming. So Kenya at first sent in 400 because that's as much as the funding could support. That has subsequently gone up to, I think, about 800 or 900. But hear this more. The equipment that the Americans provided as part of their initiative was equipment that had been, for whatever better word, discarded. So they provided armored vehicles, but not long after they were deployed in Haiti, they started breaking down.
Caporal Lafli, chéri, Caporal Lafli, venu, back up to frontière, Whiskey, Wavugoy, Izo.
One of the armored vehicles provided by America broke down. The gang seized upon it, killed one of the Kenyan soldiers who were in it. Now, Christ, man, if you're going to provide equipment, don't provide equipment that you consider is no longer useful.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
The maintenance of it, the Haitians don't have the technical capacity to do that.
Do you sense there is Haiti fatigue among the international community? And also, given that now the Kenyans who have their boots on the ground have started to suffer casualties, do you think that they may be thinking of putting out and that others may be reluctant to put additional boots on the ground, including those CARICOM countries which have made some advanced deployment of small numbers, but have promised to do more?
Kendall, I hope not. I hope not. Certainly as far as CARICOM is concerned, that fatigue has not set in. As a matter of fact, our tenure, speaking about the Eminent Persons Group, had been extended to the end of February this year. It has now been further extended for another year. So CARICOM certainly is not becoming fatigued. I think in parts of the international community may be contemplating whether they should just wash their hands off the Haitian situation altogether. We had a meeting 2-3 weeks ago with the Kenyan commander in Haiti. And I asked him pointedly, how many more boots on the ground do you need to be able to mount an effective offensive against the gang? And he said 1,500. Now, my own view, quite frankly, is that 1,500 is understated, but then he's a security expert, and those 1,500 additional boots on the ground should not be hard to mobilize. My own view is that within the Latin American and Caribbean region, we should be able to enlist those 1,500. But the funding for it has to be put in place, because some of the countries that may be prepared to provide 100, 200, 300 are not in a position to finance it. And that takes us back to the United States and Canada. Now, I can't tell you that I'm very sanguine about the appetite of a Trump administration. I thought it was quite significant, that last week, Secretary of State Marco Rubio was in Jamaica meeting with some Caribbean heads, plus the current coordinator of the Transitional Presidential Council in Haiti. And subsequent to that meeting, he wrote an op-ed about his visit to the Caribbean. And not a word was mentioned in that op-ed about the situation in Haiti. As a matter of fact, the word Haiti appeared only once, when he said that he met with Prime Minister Holness and Prime Minister Motley and Prime Minister Rowley, or Prime Minister Stuart Young, and the President of Haiti. Nothing was said about the situation in Haiti.
If I may play a video on that and get your response.
Really need more mobility in terms of air to move around by helicopter. They need better vehicles that are more apt to deal with Haitian topography, both the cities, densely populated cities with narrow streets and very crowded neighborhoods, and also as the gangs have extended into the areas outside the capital, which are very hilly, some very steep hills, narrow paths that aren't really conducive to the type of vehicles, to moving the type of vehicles the MSS or the Haitian National Police have. They also need more night vision goggles. They need more body armor.
If America will have issues in defunding, as the Trump administration looks like is likely to do, then we would not like to see our officers exposed. When the uncertainty about funding is still hanging over their heads, our officers will be exposed if they're underfunded, if they're under-equipped. So this is what we'd like to say today, that if this uncertainty prevails, then we must consider as a nation disengagement, unless the UN takes over this mission.
Your reaction to that?
And his position is perfectly understandable. Already 2 Kenyan personnel have been killed. If that continues, then certainly Kenya would have to consider whether or not they can continue to be involved in this effort. But 2 points. One is, I need to be convinced that the United States is prepared to play the role that it is being called upon to play. It's hard not to come to the conclusion that the United States doesn't give a you-know-what. Remember that President Trump, in his previous iteration, had referred to Haiti as a whole country. So that gives you the kind of perspective that they have. The second point I wanted to make is that when the UN Secretary General attended the last CARICOM Heads of Government meeting, he announced that he would be proposing to the National Security Council that the UN take over the multinational security support effort, not as a peacekeeping mission, because he says there is no peace in Haiti to be kept, but would take it over and provide sponsorship, which would do one important thing. It would now provide access to UN funding rather than depending on special contributions from member states. The EPG urged the CARICOM heads to enter conversations with the United States, with Russia, and with China, because Russia and China certainly have in the past vetoed certain initiatives that would have helped to address the situation in Haiti. So we urge them to speak with Russia and China and the United States in view of the change of administration, to see whether or not they could enlist their commitment that they would not oppose the proposal of the UN Secretary General. If that were done, and I don't know what is the current status of that proposal, if that were done, it would at least provide access to greater resources. Now, in recent times, the Haitian National Police have secured attack drones. And certainly in one instance about a week ago, one of those attack drones did significant damage to the headquarters of one of the gangs. It requires technology, but that requires funding. It requires boots on the ground, but that requires funding. Now, let us be very clear. If the interim administration cannot take back control of those vast areas that are now under gang control, if they cannot give the people of Haiti a sense of security, then no election can be held. And what is more, unless they're able to step up that offensive, then the possibility of a total collapse is not unimaginable. My own view, quite frankly, is that the reason why the gangs have not overthrown the government and take full control is that I don't think that they want the responsibility of providing all of the public services that a government is expected to provide. They don't want the responsibility of having to make sure hospitals are functioning and to make sure that schools are open so that kids can learn, so on. They want to be antagonists. They don't want the responsibility of government, but they want control, which is effectively what they have been able to achieve so far.
Against that background, how do you see the role of your group, the Eminent Persons Group, in advancing essentially what you are set up for? Because I think you're expected to help the Haitian, the interim governance arrangement to take the country to election, presidential and other elections by early next year or later this year.
Well, elections are due to be held in November. The referendum to approve the new constitution was supposed to be held next month. I don't know that that next month date can be realized, and I don't know that November elections can be realized either unless there's dramatic improvement. Let me say two things. The EPG has been working closely, not just with the Transitional Presidential Council, but because of the disquiet that we know exists among various political groups, we have been meeting with them as well. We've been meeting with civil society. But we have to be very careful that we don't at any time come across as meddling in the affairs of Haiti. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, that during the incumbency of the previous coordinator of the Transitional Presidential Council, Mr. Leslie Voltaire, when we sought to encourage him to undertake certain initiatives, he bristled and got to the point of suggesting that we were interfering in the domestic affair of Haiti. So we have to be very careful. Haiti is a sovereign country and we have to respect its sovereignty. We can offer advice, we can offer suggestions, but ultimately the solution to the Haitian crisis has to be Haitian-led and Haitian managed. Now, in addition to that, there have been developments that have not helped the process. 3 of the 7 voting members of the Presidential Council were accused of corruption, bribery, involving the central bank. Despite the insistence of various political actors in Haiti, they refused to withdraw. Eventually, the matter went to, I can't remember the name of the title, but an investigative judge who ruled that based on the evidence that was presented to him, they had a case to answer. They took the matter to the appeal court, the Supreme Court, and they claimed presidential immunity. They claimed that as members of the Provisional Presidential Council, they were performing the functions of the president. And therefore they enjoyed the same immunity from prosecution that the president would have enjoyed. And the court ruled in their favor. One of those 3 accused is the current coordinator of the Transitional Presidential Council, Mr. Fitzgerald. These have not helped to inspire public confidence in the Transitional Presidential Council. And I don't know if you're aware, but since the beginning of this week, there have been street protests calling for the Presidential Council to be dissolved. I am told from one source that it is the largest demonstration that Haiti has seen in several years. So when you're in this kind of tenuous situation where your constitutional order has been disrupted, where you have an interim arrangement whose legitimacy is questionable because the Constitution made no provision for any transitional presidential council. I mean, what we've been trying to do is to try and see if we can improvise until we can get to the point where elections can be held and constitutional order can be restored. But when in this kind of tenuous period, you have a lack of confidence in the improvised arrangement, it makes success that much more difficult.
Who is fueling the proliferation of guns and ammunition to carry on this never-ending onslaught and political destabilization and security destabilization of the country?
I can't state factually. They are well armed, and they seem to be, their supply of guns and ammunition seem to be well maintained. The guns are obviously coming from the United States. When we spoke with the current leader of the Presidential Council a few days ago, I asked him whether in his discussions with Secretary of State, Rubio last week, whether he had prevailed upon him to get the United States to increase their Coast Guard patrol in the waters in the vicinity of Haiti to try to stem the flow of guns and ammunition. He said the matter was not raised specifically, but it is an ongoing part of an ongoing dialogue with the United States. There have been allegations, but I can put it no further than that. There have been allegations that persons in the business community have allied themselves with gangs to seek benefit for their business. In other words, if you run a big supermarket and there's a supermarket down the road that is competing with you and you can have it burnt down, then you have the market all to yourself, no? I have no evidence that that is so, but there are strong allegations that persons in the private sector have facilitated the arming and the sustenance in terms of weaponry of these gangs. Well, bear in mind that CARICOM potential is limited. The Haitian situation requires significant resources, significant personnel, significant amount of equipment, strategic management. CARICOM doesn't have those resources. Those resources have to come from the international community. The international community has not been forthcoming. They have made some contributions, yes, but if you have a patient that requires 20 milligrams of a particular medication, there's no point in giving them 5 milligrams. They're not going to get better. And therefore, our hopes have to continue to rest on the willingness of the international community to do more. I say without any apology, for example, that France has a particular obligation and France has not stepped forward. It has provided some humanitarian assistance, yes, but it has not done anywhere near what we would have hoped and expected. The European Union can also do much more, which is why I remain hopeful that the proposal coming from no less a person than the UN Secretary General for the security effort to be adopted by the United Nations so that it could now provide direct funding is in the short term our best hope. And I will have to update myself as to where that proposal is, whether it is on the agenda of the Security Council, when is it likely to come up, and what is likely to be the disposition of the United States, of Russia, and of China. But unless we have hundreds more boots on the ground with the appropriate equipment, with the appropriate supplies, the situation is going to continue to get worse, if it is at all possible for it to get worse.
Look at my country. Look at the capital city of my country, Haiti. What is this? We have a great history.
Haiti needs new, cohesive, domestic resolve and the requisite support from its partners. The people of Haiti deserve the opportunity to experience another way of being, to determine their destiny, to secure their rights, and to be free from oppressive forces within and without.
While we await more money, we await more resources in terms of equipment and so on, what can be done to assist the people who are facing an unending humanitarian crisis?
Again, we have to depend on the international agencies. The UN has been doing quite a bit, but of course, the security situation impedes their effort. There are perhaps over 1 million people now who are displaced, who have had to flee their home, who are living in makeshift structures. That has to continue. One of the things that the EPG would like to see is all of those prerequisites for the holding of elections that can proceed despite the violence, to try and get those in place. The preparation of a voters list, for example, the identification of electoral officials who will preside over the polling, the identification of polling location. Some of that, perhaps not all, but some of that can proceed despite the security situation. And we would like to see some focus put on that to try and get those in place so that if, God's willing, we're able to get the security arrangements at a point where credible elections can be held, at least the arrangements for it and the preparations for it would already have been put in place.
Should Haiti become a failed state? Haiti is part of the Caribbean community, CARICOM. What do you see as the implications for the rest of the Caribbean community, especially in relation to the question of movement of people?
Very serious implications, because if Haiti becomes inhospitable, people are naturally going to seek refuge. And Jamaica is perhaps the closest. Jamaica and the Bahamas are the two closest of the Caribbean countries. So we would face that problem as to what we do with them. The policy so far has been to return them when they arrive, which is a controversial policy. Critics have suggested that, it is heartless. But the problem that the government faces is that if you start accepting them, then what numbers are you likely to end up having to accommodate? So that is one. But apart from that, having a country with a population of 11 million controlled by gangs with significant narco-trafficking contacts and involvement is a danger to the security of the entire region. There's no point in our trying to keep drugs and guns out of Jamaica if they are going to have free access into Haiti, because we're an island state. We can't police our shore. We don't have that capacity. And it takes only a matter of a couple of hours for a boat with a powerful engine to move from Haiti to one of our secluded spots on our coastline to offload guns and drugs. So that the implications for us in the Caribbean is very, very serious.
We must resolve to end this state of play and by our actions provide hope for Haitians that this time there will be a positive outcome and things will indeed get better. The people of Haiti need and deserve nothing less than the safety, freedom, and prosperity that the first free Black Republic deserves.
Haiti's crisis. This is Caribbean Tea. Our guest this week was Bruce Golding, former Prime Minister of Jamaica and member of CARICOM's Eminent Persons Group, spearheading CARICOM's efforts to end the crisis in Haiti.